Yes. Okay.
That's what we're supposed to see.
So, okay. So we want to see around 0 for the first two, and then around 1,000, you said, for the last. Okay.
And then, so you're there, and theoretically, actually, these all should be 0, because if you think about it, there's should be no flow going on in there, because there's nothing happening. So we'll tell it that there's nothing happening by hitting 0. And it might take a minute or two to get a clue.
Okay.
So if you have to hit 0 more than once, that's not surprising. Okay, so that's one more. Come on, you wiggly little wire. Okay. Oh, come on. Can you just, I should have accepted it when it was at like 0.5 and not questioned it. There.
Stay.
Alright, so that's when you'll notice on yours there'll be a mark that you're supposed to get this yellow needle to. So open up.
Which will be 0 to start with.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you open up the main tank. This should be closed, and this is what's going to control the flow for you. You're going to actually ignore, the only time you pay attention to these dials is to see how much air is in your tank. Hospital grade breathing air is what you'll need, and it can last you a really long time, depending on how often you have subjects. But then you use this to turn it on, and you'll hear it, and you see how the needle went, like, automatically. So
you're controlling where the needle goes.
And I want this to be right about that red mark there. So just keep going, and it actually goes pretty fast. So oh, I'm a little over. Yay, parallax. So that's where that's at, and if we'll come back over the screen, you can see it's set quite differently. So you start out by setting the flow, and you can always kind of cheat and tell which one is which, because this will say milliliters per second, and that number should be on your SPA, or the...
Okay.
So I need to set it to
68.4. Okay.
Alright. And it has the same units, so... Okay. And then it'll set itself. And then I'm going to set the power. And that one is some unit I don't know. But
it should be on ours as well. Okay.
Yep. So that one's 441. And hit OK.
And that was by hitting set PD or set?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And then the last one that you always want to do, and you see how the numbers get entered in here after I do that? And then I'm going to set pressure. And then that one, we always set ours at 1,000.
Okay.
I know, it's actually not on there. But that's what we set it at. And when you look at these numbers, you want them to be kind of reasonably close to what you set it to. So that's a little bit high here at the flow. So I'm going to set that one more time. The proper number, 68.4, and you'll see it corrects, and then you see how that affected this, so now it's a little bit...
But you're resetting it with the exact same, so you're just essentially doing it again. You're telling the machine to do the same thing
I want you to be a little bit closer to your set points. Go there.
Okay.
And actually, now this is doing okay, and that's good, and that's all you need, and you want to see that it's going to drop when I do this, make sure that it's working. Come back to the tank, and turn it off, and you'll watch the screen, and you see
just
how
drop
the response
off.
just goes poof.
Okay.
And that's what you should see when you do that one.
Okay.
And then just close the main valve and close the regulator.
Now these flow rates are going to be the same for e-cigarettes to start, or
they should be the same for e-cigarettes.
Should we test it at the same first and see if is there anything we should be looking for? If let's say that wasn't accurate, how would we know that that's not a good flow rate?
Did you know that's not a good flow rate?
We could try it.
Yeah.
I mean,
you need something else to sit back and measure it to see if you're going to get an actual difference, because theoretically, no matter what you put in there, it's supposed to give you the same flow.
okay.
Like, as soon as it hits here, comes out there, this air this filter and the way it's set up is supposed to, as soon as it comes out here, this is the flow that it sees, and this is the power. I'm not quite sure, but those are the two things that it does see.
Okay.
So that should be the same, and it hasn't mattered what brand of cigarette that we use for it.
Okay.
But that is, again, with the caveat that it's commercial cigarettes. but I do think, and I would double check with Mari, that it will work the same with e-cigs.
Okay.
So, now that we've done that, you can actually, take it out. Yeah. Got stuck. Also, a sign that if this is not where it should have been, back in the holder, you might need to redo your flow cal. So, pull it back out ever so gently without smushing your filters. Try not to grab by these two. They're very convenient and they're very little, so they break very easy, sadly. And then what we're going to do is our volume calibration, which will be different for you guys because I don't know how we're going to do a fixed volume calibration, but this is how we do it.
Okay.
So, actually, we start with calibrating the machine, and we use this. This is our, actually, it was called a bubble meter. I always giggled. I'm like, what is it?
So this is what we could use as a syringe in place of this? No. Okay.
This is a set, this it's got little registrations and everything, and that number there that we use to measure volumes off of the smoking machine.
Okay.
We use the smoking machine to generate the set volumes, and then we use this to make sure that the smoking machine is working fine. If you were to use a syringe, do I have one lying out?
Your sample syringe?
Yeah, a little bit. You'd use something bigger.
But again, this is to calibrate the volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's the same sort of idea. 1 cc is 1 mil, right? No, whatever. It's a volume. Yeah, that's not right because that's way too little. Anyways, so for a set volume syringe, it would look similar to something like this, be a little bit bigger, but instead of being able to just go all the way like that, it will stop. Like, let's say if this was set volume to 44 or 40 cc's, I'd be able to pull to there, and that's it. If you tried to pull harder, you'd break it and ruin the calibration.
Okay.
Basically, it's a little bit different and tough. How many of those are? Yay! So, here. This is back up here. This one's fun. This is what the manual says. You're supposed to suck up bubbles until it goes all the way up.
Oh, wow.
There you go. And you can see that they get thinner as they go up, so there's not a decent coating of the soap solution in there. But probably far less relevant for you guys.
Has to go all the way to the top.
Depends on what volume you're calibrating to. I just want to get, you see how they got, you'll see it gets a little bit, this is good right here, but let's say I was calibrating to 55, I'd want to make sure that they were thicker up there.
And to ask a really basic question, how do we know what volume to calibrate to?
It depends on the syringe that you'll buy, basically. Like, if you were going to run FTC ISO standard protocols for the rest of your life, you'd want a 35 mil, because that one's what they do. If you were doing Canadian Intense, that protocol actually says you have to calibrate to the same puff volume that you use, so that one is 55 mils, but just something for your standard, something in the middle of what you'd expect to see for a normal smoking volume.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Well, and I guess maybe because e-cigs are so new that we don't know what the smoking volume looks like, so would you suggest the 35 mils just as a standard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, I mean, that's what the smoking industry uses for pretty much almost everything.
Okay.
As far as I know.
Okay.
So now that we have that all set to check things, I'll calibrate the smoking machine with it. Take off the annoying adapter that we use. And
But since we don't have a smoking machine, we won't.
Yeah.
This is just an additional procedure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You won't really need to know it, but all you'll need to know for this part is get whatever set volume you're going to use and make sure it's either in calibration, do whatever setup you need to do to make sure it's calibrated, and then you're good.
Okay.
Then those two sentences sum up everything I'm about to do.
Okay.
Yes, this is why I say don't buy it from Boardwalk. This annoying, lovely little thing that we use to calibrate for resistance, $300.
Oh my gosh.
Buy it from Boardwalk.
Where is there another distributor you recommend that we could order from?
I mean, just do
For
a
the
basic
syringe?
Google search
Okay.
for a fixed volume syringe, and I'll try and find one so you can see
Okay.
what I'm talking about.
That would be great.
Yeah. And you'll see stuff with stuff that you use for a set standard. It'll have, like, this is what its calibrated power is. This is the resistance, the flow resistance that it has. Somebody somewhere was paid a decent amount of money to make sure that this number is what it is until whatever decimal point comes afterwards.
Okay.
Price increases as your decimal points increase.
So it's the more specific it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. And then, so it has a registered serial number, so it's trackable. And I probably will want to check its calibration August 23rd of this year. So that's what you're looking for, really.
Okay.
And if I wanted to order another one, this is what you'd look for.
Okay.
So that's all that is for something that's calibrated. And you can actually see, like this one, Dry Cal, we also use that to check flows. It'll give you a range. This is when it was last calibrated. This is when it's due. That's the Instrument Labs serial number that they track it by.
So it's when to calibrate the calibration.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much. And all scientific nerds live and breathe and die by those kinds of numbers. There we go. So this is where I'm going to calibrate the smoking machine.
And this is a separate mechanism
Yeah.
then from what we have. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually get to go into calibrate puff volume. And for some reason, despite the fact that it says desired puff volume 40, it doesn't work like that. It will actually tell me, give me a 35 mil puff volume. So if I want to calibrate to 40, I have to go here, but you guys will never ever really need to know that.
Okay.
So we'll start out, it's set to 40, give it a shot. Actually, I'm supposed to check for leaks now. There we go. Come here. And that should stay where it is forever and ever until Kingdom Come, unless there's a leak, in which case I need to go find it, which sucks. Things I hate in life. Leaks and electrical problems.
And wires.
Yes. Eva's probably familiar with the drifting signal from bad grounds. I've been, unfortunately, all too...
Oh no.
Oh, well, that's fine. That's not so bad. That's just missing that to more or less protect it and you, so you don't stab your fingers or it doesn't pick up a current from somewhere. The part that's driven me really crazy about that is that ground used to get attached to something back here, and since this vibrated, it would vibrate loose, and I'd lose my ground connection.
Oh no.
And then I'd be like, what's going wrong? What demon has crawled into my Chrome Perfect and made the line go wibble, 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 wibble?
So you did it for 1 minute?
Mhm.
Okay. But
And, oh look, it hasn't moved.
But again, to reiterate, since we have people, real people smoking and not a smoking machine, this
Yeah.
is just a whole additional.
Yep. And then, so I have it offset by 0.2 mils, and I theoretically on this screen have it set to 40 milliliters total puff volume. So I'll tell it to inhale that, and it's actually off by maybe 0.5 mils. So I'll set that back down to 0. And you'll notice I actually can't calibrate to 35 because 40 is the lowest number I have. That's all I can get,
Okay.
just for that bubble meter. I've set it to 0. I should probably give it another bubble.